When most martial arts systems and styles came into existence, they were for the purpose of defending one's self, one's village, one's town, one's family, or even the innocent, maybe even your own nation. But as time has evolved, people have missed the real purpose of martial arts. If we are not living in a time where you are experiencing war and violence, unfortunately we do see this happening in various places across this planet right now. But for the most part, if you're not living in a place where you are experiencing violence on a daily basis and you don't have to protect yourself, either hand-to-hand combat, as it were, or even with modern weapons, guns, knives, rockets, and things of this sort, then think on this. You are fortunate. So at some point, martial arts became more of a spiritual undertaking as opposed to a physical one. What people in today's society or martial arts community, not all, but there's unfortunately a faction that don't seem to get what martial arts really is. Nowadays you hear people, especially in the MMA community, talking about how big and bad they are. No one can beat me. I'm the best, I'm the greatest, and so on and so forth. That has never ever been the real true purpose of martial arts. Martial arts over time, a cultivation of developing a practice, was more to get in tune with one's self, one's spiritual self. This is what a lot of people have forgotten in the martial arts as time has passed. And this is what some of the newer people who study and or practice martial arts styles and systems have never gotten. You don't know what the real point is. You don't really understand, comprehend, embody what martial arts really is about. It's about developing character. So when people say, who has Bruce Lee, for example, and I'm talking about him again because this seems to be the topic on a daily basis, of how qualified was he and how many people did he beat, what tournaments has he won, what does he have under his belt in terms of who he has beat, where's the record, his fight record. Are you that naive that you don't understand? Apparently there are enough people to note that are that ignorant and naive that they don't understand martial arts. It's never been about fighting. Never. It's about how you maintain yourself as a human being, how to get along on this planet with your fellow man. The fighting is the last thing. And if you are a true or a tried and true martial arts master, not to mention a grandmaster, you should know this. So when you start comparing yourself to someone else or saying that an individual is not worth their weight in gold because they haven't beat so many people or they don't have a fight record, you completely missed the point. It's not about fighting. Fighting is a byproduct. We train thousands of times on our techniques for the one time that we hope not to ever happen. We don't want to fight. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not about who I want to go out and challenge, or who I want to go out and see if my art works or how well it works against potential danger. No, you don't do that. If you never have a fight as a martial artist, good for you. If you never have a fight as a master or grandmaster, good for you. Hopefully you wouldn't. It means that you've done something probably right. It means that you have followed the tenets of what the martial arts is all about. Spirituality. That's the first thing you need to be seeking, not how many people's behinds you can kick. So when we start talking about, or when you start talking about who has Bruce Lee beat, he was not a great martial artist. Maybe he got the point. Maybe he got the point when he said, martial arts to me is expressing one's self. He did just that. And when you looked at him, you could tell that he did a great job. Look how popular he is today. Are you that same person with that same mindset? I don't want any trouble. I'm doing this so that I can learn how to control me. You know, there's a reason they call it self-defense. I teach my students this, and I've always taught them this from day one. You don't go looking for trouble. You don't go out into the streets trying to go for bad, trying to prove that you are better than someone else. It's the opposite. I don't want any trouble. That should be your purpose. I don't want to fight anyone. But if peradventure it came down to it, I have the skill set to defend myself when it comes down to it. Better than the average person, that is. But somehow or another, there's these guys and gals, in some instances, they go out here purporting that someone is not good in fighting. Who does that? Do you encourage your own children, or your grandchildren for that matter, to go to school and pick fights to see who they can beat and see how much better they are than the next child? See how silly that sounds? Then why are you talking about this person is not a good fighter and this person doesn't have a record of fighting? Why are you trying to mix the two together? What two are you talking about, brother teacher? The sport aspect of fighting, I can get that part. But Bruce Lee was not a sports person as it relates to martial arts. If you really know about him, if you've really studied him, if you ever really cared to study him, you would know that that's not what he was about. So to keep on trying to pull him into this sporting arena as this guy who wasn't qualified or this guy that wasn't good in fighting, there's a distinct demarcation line between sport and real fighting. It's not the same. And I've said this before as well. That does not mean that there are not sports competitors in the martial arts that are not good fighters too. If it came down to it, I would hope that you would be, if you're studying martial arts, you should be able to draw the line and say, well, this is sport fighting and this is real fighting. And you should be able to advocate for both and say, well, this is what I teach in school when we're going to competition. This is what I teach for self-defense, real fighting in the street. I know you're learning something today, aren't you? But somehow or another, we want to still look at the value of a man based on his fight record. For real? I'm sorry to say, you're missing it. Where's the spirituality at? I'm asking you that question again, Bruce Lee haters. And the other thing too, once you don't fight anymore, all of you guys is talking about how many trophies you won and how many championships you won and how many people you beat in this no holds barred fight and so forth. When you get old, what's next? What do you have? I would hope you have some spirituality, but chances are you probably don't. That's it, and that's all. Get what you're missing. Spirituality is first, and fighting is last.